Alright, welcome back everybody to another Command & Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath video commentary. We are on the map Tournament Dustbowl. Spawning in the bottom as the green GDI, we have Death-Sentence. And his opponent today as the orange R-17, we have DirtyDutch. And DirtyDutch is smurfing as some crazy name, which I'm not even going to try to get into. He seems to smurf more often than not, and especially playing on the Revora service, it gets a little bit more tricky trying to track down who is who, but we won't worry about it too much. We know who is who in this game, and we're going to be seeing both of these guys opening up with just a single engineer and going for opposite tib spikes here too. So maybe going to be seeing an engineer snipe. We'll have to see. It looks like both players are going to be opening up with a scout off to the opposite side, perhaps looking to get that quick snipe off on an engineer that's just caught out by itself. But DirtyDutch, with an overwhelming number of buzzers here on the left-hand side, going to be able to clean up that rifleman squad no problem. We'll be able to secure that Tiberium spike without any worries. And on the right-hand side, Death-Sentence being very careful here, as he does know that DirtyDutch does have that buzzer here on the right-hand side. It doesn't appear as though he's too fussed about it, though. He's going to send that rifleman squad up north to get a scout. DirtyDutch perhaps missing an opportunity here to grab a kill on that engineer, but again, not too much to be concerned about at this point, because both of these guys are going to be grabbing their Tiberium spikes. They are going to have scouts left over to get eyes on each other, and we'll be settling in here for maybe a mid-game push. And we are going to be seeing Death-Sentence just going for that eco gameplay at this point, just getting out his second harvester, working on a third most likely, and actually it looks like that harvester is going to get a kill on that scout. That's quite nice. Probably unintended from Death-Sentence, but a nice pickup all the same. DirtyDutch actually dropping down his second refinery, powering down that warp sphere straight away. Not a bad idea. I like to do that a lot myself, just because it allows you to get that power plant out a touch faster, since you've got that eco from stopping the production of any additional units, including harvesters. But nothing too much to be concerned about. We do see that DirtyDutch has his refinery down just a touch faster. He does have his fourth harvester out as faster, as well as Death-Sentence is just now getting that out on the field. But Death-Sentence is going to be packing up and moving out for the expand right now as well. And Death-Sentence still getting good eyes on what's going on in DirtyDutch's base here. And it looks like he's actually managed to completely take down the shields of one of these harvesters. But it looks like DirtyDutch has deployed and could potentially be, yes, he is going to go ahead and drop a buzzer hive. Going to be cleaning up that scout. It's very important to get the scouts out of your base. It will allow you to kind of free up your build orders and do as you please. But Death-Sentence returning the favor to DirtyDutch, so very mirror builds for both of these guys. Going to be going for pretty much the same setups. So this mid-game is where it's going to start getting interesting. You're likely going to start seeing some variance between these guys. We see a 6 harvester out on the field for Death-Sentence, going to be rallying over to this expansion. The refinery not yet down, and DirtyDutch already cranking on 3 and 1 on that expansion. Let's take a look at his main. He has 5 and 2, and nothing being produced out of that warp sphere just yet. I'm not sure if that's a mistake or if DirtyDutch is just trying to prevent any eco from being lost here, but man, he is cranking heavy on that eco, up to 8 harvesters and 3 refineries. That is quite good, whereas Death-Sentence just has the 2 harvesters on the expansion, and he's likely going to be adding on to that very shortly here. But actually it looks like Death-Sentence is going to start transitioning into APC production, and that's not a bad idea at all against Scrin factions. They are quite good against seeker tanks, infantry, pretty much anything, and they definitely shut down aircraft. But it looks like Death-Sentence actually still has a scout here on the left-hand side, so that's quite nice, as he's going to be able to get eyes on when DirtyDutch is going for that third expansion, or rather second expansion, third field. And it looks like it is going to be Shardwalker production coming out from DirtyDutch, and again, not a bad decision in this early game. I mean, R-17, your best bet is to go with those Shardwalkers, just because those seeker tanks really aren't that powerful. They have paper-thin armor, and the DPS that they put out is just not equal to the damage that they can take. And I foresee it actually coming down from DirtyDutch, so tier 2 down for him at this point, and perhaps going to be seeing a transition into some tier 3 production here in the near future. But we do have actually Disintegrators going to be joining the battle here, so it's going to be Shardwalker Disintegrators, and that's not a terrible combo. But up against APC, and it looks like we're going to be seeing rocket squads, so very, very interesting. So the rocket squads will counter the Shardwalkers decently well, but the Shardwalkers will counter actually both the missile squads and the APCs quite well. So this is not going to go too well for Death-Sentence. Unfortunately, I don't think he has scouted this. Let's take a look and see. neither one of these players really has clear idea on what's going on. Actually, Death-Sentence getting really good eyes on what's going on here. He does have his tier 2 down, so he has been able to get that chance to get a radar scan. He is going for composite armor. I have to imagine that that's what he's going for at this point, as he does have that armory down on the field. Second refinery down as well, up to 5 and 2 on that expansion field, and is cranking on eco as well. And it looks like it's going to be Shardwalkers joined by Disintegrators and charged up Devourer tanks for Dirty Dutch. And it's looking like we're going to be seeing a pretty heavy engagement here on the left-hand side of the map, potentially going to be shutting down Dirty Dutch's next expansion. APMO already done, a Shatterer tank joining the battle here, and we're seeing rocket squads with that composite armor. So Death-Sentence doing a nice job. He's got a nice unit mix here, but he's going to have to be very careful to take out those Shardwalkers very quickly. And unfortunately, Dirty Dutch not really paying much attention, or perhaps just sacrificing these units. These Disintegrators doing absolutely nothing in this battle, and that's exactly what Death-Sentence wanted to see here. And doing a nice job of choosing which units to move forward. And actually the drone ship moving out of position. This could be huge. Dirty Dutch losing his drone ship early on in this game. I don't know what he's going to be able to do here. Oh, he does have a foundry. Thank goodness. Okay. So Dirty Dutch is not quite out of this game yet, despite losing that drone ship. That is major. But a nice buzzer swarm coming in from Dirty Dutch, going to be cleaning up the majority of those rocket squads. But rocket squads just streaming across the map for Death-Sentence at this point, and Death-Sentence is looking really good. But Dirty Dutch doing a nice job of just kiting with these Devourer tanks, exactly what you need to be doing with them. They just have that superior range, and they can absolutely shut stuff down. But actually that APC doing a nice job of getting that minefield down, going to be picking up a kill on that Devourer tank, and that's not what Dirty Dutch wants to be seeing. 3 Shatterer tanks here could be spelling complete demise for these Shardwalkers, but the defense of Dirty Dutch going to be enough to force Death-Sentence to fall back here. But Death-Sentence probably happy with this victory here, as he did destroy the drone ship, and that's likely going to set Dirty Dutch back quite a bit. And let's take a look on the right-hand side of the map. We do see Death-Sentence has expanded up to his next expansion, going to be dropping down that refinery. So he is looking really good in this game, already rallying 2 additional harvesters up to join the cause here. And he has completely mined out his original field, sold off that refinery. Very good on Death-Sentence to stay on top of that, and he will likely be selling off one of these refineries in the near future. But Dirty Dutch not out of this game just yet, and is going to be moving out with the charged Devourer tanks joined by the Shardwalkers. That is a deadly combo right there, just so powerful. And I'm not quite sure what the best way to counter that is. Perhaps just some tier 3 unit spam like the Juggernauts or Mammoth tanks. But honestly, at this point, the forces of Death-Sentence doing a nice job of cleaning up the Shardwalkers out of Dirty Dutch. Dirty Dutch is continuing to sacrifice more and more forward, and now he has absolutely no defense for these Devourer tanks. So I don't know about that choice from Dirty Dutch. He was definitely looking good at first, but now that the overwhelming number of missile squads here out of Death-Sentence are going to be able to push these Devourer tanks back, Dirty Dutch is going to need to mount a nice defense in his base, and we're actually seeing 3 harvesters being rallied down to this expansion here for Dirty Dutch. So perhaps another drone ship out on the field? Yes, drone ship back out on the field for Dirty Dutch. So he is not out of this game whatsoever. Not going to be throwing in the towel just yet, and actually bringing up the attenuated force fields on those Shardwalkers just as this engagement is commencing, and that's going to be quite nice. Dirty Dutch needs to be careful in pulling those Devourer tanks out of the line of fire of these rocket squads, but going to be able to clean up that Shatterer tank. That's going to be a nice pickup for Dirty Dutch, and he has managed to hold off this attack. And Death-Sentence does not need to be streaming units across the map at this point. He has the economic advantage. Honestly, I would just capitalize on this, maybe start going into that tier 3 production. It looks like he is content with just spamming tier 1 and tier 2 at this point. But honestly, I would not be terribly surprised to see some tier 3 in the near future. Could potentially sell off that armory. Likely is not using that anymore. But actually, we do still have a huge number of rocket squads out on the field for Death-Sentence. So despite being up against the heavy anti-infantry Shardwalkers of Dirty Dutch, he's continuing to produce that heavy infantry spam as a GDI player. And we'll have to see if he's able to make that work. But unfortunately, he's getting caught out here a little bit by these Shardwalkers, and he's going to be losing a decent number of these missile squads. With the composite armor, they can sponge quite a bit more damage, but I don't think it's going to be enough to actually make this cost effective. And the APC's once again deploying mines here, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Actually getting some nice shots on that harvester, not actually going to be enough to do too much damage. But now the Shatterer tanks taking out the Shardwalkers here of Death-Sentence once again, or rather of Dirty Dutch. And Death-Sentence going to be completely destroyed here, all of his forces being cleaned up, and the Devourer tanks showing their sheer might here by cleaning up all of the armor and all of the Shardwalker here. the Shardwalkers here to defend these Devourer tanks have been cleaned up. Ooh! Dirty Dutch reverse moving over those mines. Definitely not what he wanted to be doing, and unfortunately going to be paying for that mistake with one of his Devourer tanks. But dropping a nice Buzzer Hive on the front line is going to be able to completely clean up that mass of missile squads, and that's not what Death Sentence wants to be seeing at this point in the game. He does not want to be sacrificing units for no gain whatsoever. But Dirty Dutch already working on his expansion here, does have a refinery down, likely killing another. But Death Sentence up to tier 3, producing a Marv as we speak. Actually, it looks like it's nearly done. And a Mammoth tank out on the field, also going for Firehawks. And no upgrades done on those Firehawks just yet. Likely just trying to produce the Firehawks to get them out on the field so they can start doing some damage straight away. And actually, it's surprisingly enough, the armory is still out on the field. And we actually have another upgrade being purchased, so perhaps going to be power packs for the Zone Troopers. That would be interesting. Maybe going to be transitioning into some Zone Heads. We'll have to see what Death Sentence chooses to go for there. And Death Sentence just doing a nice job of continuing to scout. Dirty Dutch unfortunately going to be getting shot up there by one of the Shardwalkers, but is going to be able to get quite a bit more of a scout off before it is killed. And that's going to be quite nice for Death Sentence, but Death Sentence going to be getting eyes on the fact that there is a force here pushing his original main base, and there is literally nothing down here to defend. So Death Sentence is going to have to cut and run with that Harvester. Definitely going to be losing this refinery. There's just no way to save it. Going to be dropping down a War Factory here. I don't know about this choice, as there is quite a bit of anti-armor support here from Dirty Dutch. Perhaps this is just stall tactics out of Death Sentence, as I'm slurring my words here. Sorry, it's late on a Thursday night. Thought I'd get my drink on here. But all joking aside, we do see the newly placed War Factory of Dirty Dutch being absolutely obliterated here by these forces. So I don't know about the choice here from Death Sentence to drop that War Factory. Perhaps it is just a stall tactic, but we do see actually it's going to be double airfield Firehawks at this point, and it looks like actually some of these Firehawks are coming back from a bombing run. And let's see what we have. Still no upgrades done just yet. Likely going to be purchasing some as we speak. Down in the south, we do see Dirty Dutch just continuing to wither away at this base, and is likely just going to continue to clean up these structures. And we do have a Sonic Emitter drop out from Death Sentence. It's likely going to be enough to force these forces to actually pull back and perhaps choose a different location to engage. And we're actually going to be seeing a Mammoth tank joining the battle down there. And as we speak, we do see Death Sentence moving in with a large number of Firehawks, going to be looking to do some damage. Definitely going to be dropping that Technology Assembler. No, the Technology Assembler is still alive. No! Death Sentence, realizing that he did not send enough bombs to destroy that Technology Assembler, micros 2 of his Firehawks back and does manage to pick that up with the remaining bombs. Great work from Death Sentence. I originally thought that he completely whiffed on that Tech Assembler, but did manage to send those Firehawks back and clean that up. Very nice work indeed. And we do have the Marv moving out by itself. Does have tripled Zone Raider, or rather Zone Trooper garrisons, as well as a single Engineer. So going to be able to get a couple of repairs here on the front lines. But a single tripod could be enough to actually force Death Sentence to fall back if the base defense spam is going to be enough. And we do have a tripod joining the battle down here, and that will likely be enough to force Death Sentence to at least choose to fall back here. No, actually we have a stasis chamber coming down. So Dirty Dutch catching this Marv out of position, and is likely going to be moving that tripod in for the EMP the second that stasis shield goes down. And we do have 8 Firehawks out on the field, likely just moving in, trying to find another angle of engagement. Actually, it looks like we do have, wow, we have both upgrades done, so it's going to be Stratofighter as well as the hardpoint upgrade for these Firehawks. So let me see, that's 8 Firehawks. Wow, look at that! Firehawks V tripods! I was not expecting that. So Death Sentence doing a nice job despite not having any defense for this Marv. Going to be using his Firehawks actually to defend it and destroying that tripod. But man, just the sheer power of these Devourer tanks with that charged up beam, just doing so much damage. And another tripod moving in here, going to be able to get a final EMP off on that Marv, and that's going to be enough to destroy it. And actually, I think the Lightning Spike managed to get the kill shot on that Marv. That's not something you see too often. But Death Sentence doesn't seem to be too fussed about it. He does still have these 8 Firehawks out on the field, going to be looking to go in for another engagement here. And we'll actually go ahead and follow them along, because I don't think there's anything else going on at the moment. We'll try to put that away. I don't quite know why I left that out. But it looks like the Firehawks are going to be coming in, and wow, took massive damage. Does manage to claim the drone ship, so there's going to be removing any additional buildings out of Dirty Dutch, and that's actually going to eliminate any ability to actually reproduce some base defenses. So that could give Death Sentence some breathing room here to actually get in there and do some damage. But Death Sentence paying for that attack with 7 upgraded Firehawks. Definitely definitely not a cost-effective engagement there. And we have a small skirmish force out of Death-Sentence down here in the bottom left. I'm not quite sure what this force is here to do, because it is definitely not going to be able to do too much. We have just a single unupgraded mammoth tank, as well as a couple of lone rocket squads. And this force is completely cleaned up. It looks like he managed to clean up maybe one shard walker, or perhaps two, I'm not sure. But definitely not a cost-effective engagement for Death Sentence. So Dirty Dutch, despite being down early on and being shut down pretty hard by those Firehawks, he has an opportunity now by getting a couple of cost-effective engagements to get himself back in this game, reproducing his drone ship for the third time now. And he's going to be looking to get those base defenses back up and running, start spamming out those anti-air defenses, likely knowing that Death Sentence is going to be going back for those Firehawks. And as we speak, we do see the fourth Firehawk on the way for Death Sentence. And Mechapede's out with those disc launchers, going to be looking to defend against this aircraft of Death Sentence. And it's going to be getting good eyes on the map as well, but he is exposing this to Death Sentence, so he has an opportunity to shut this down. And it's going to be zone troopers out on the field for Death Sentence, and they will absolutely murder these Mechapedes. And unfortunately, I think that was a misclick by Dirty Dutch, and a final shot from that Marv Kobe shot going to be able to kill off that remaining Mechapede. And now we're going to be seeing a small skirmish here between the forces of Dirty Dutch and Death Sentence. Dirty Dutch actually choosing to fall back here. Going to be paying for that with another Mechapede. The Mechapede there perhaps just sacrificed to hold the line for the remainder of those forces to escape. But Dirty Dutch is going to escape with the remainder of these forces, whereas Death Sentence is going to be looking to get out on the move with this Marv as well as infantry support. And let's take a look up in the north. We do have the four Firehawks out on the field, going to be able to snipe down that stasis. Oh, I cannot remember the name of it. Oh, it's killing me now. I don't remember. I apologize. I don't remember the name of the building. It's a tier 1.5 structure. You build it off of a barracks. Oh, what is it called? It's going to kill me now. Oh, we won't worry about it too much. But we will see an additional portal drop out of Dirty Dutch, and he's going to be looking to go for perhaps some buzzer spam at this point, and that's not a terrible idea against this force. There are rifleman squads out on the field. They do have that AP ammo upgrade as well as the composite armor, but composite armor not going to be able to do too much against the buzzers, as they can just simply walk straight through those riflemen. And we are going to be seeing the Marv moving forward here, going to be taking a huge amount of damage from these charged up Reaper tripods, and we'll have to see if Death Sentence is able to make this work. The Shardwalkers being milked straight away by the rocket squads, and we do see the Firehawks coming in once again for another bombing run. And actually, it looks like Dirty Dutch lost another drone ship here. I think he must have lost another drone ship, and I'm not quite sure if how Death Sentence did that. He must have gone in with two different bombing runs. But Dirty Dutch actually looking to be in a really tough position now. He does still have these Reaper tripods, but they are just no match for this infantry force. They are just trying desperately to get the crushes, but now that all the Shardwalkers are gone, he's going to have to rely on the crushes here. Could potentially be paying for that with another one of these tripods. Yes, he is going to do that. So despite calling in the repair drones, not going to be enough. And Death Sentence capitalizing on this by dropping the additional Reaper tripod husks. And it looks like he is going to be able to kill off all three prior to losing the remainder of his missile squads here. And that's going to be quite good. So Death Sentence getting himself back in this game. And we see, I think, yet another structure being bombed. Or no, we actually are going to be seeing the Firehawks moving out. Oh, I don't know. Did they fire or did they not? The Firehawks are so hard to keep track of. But a lightning spike down here to defend against these leeching harvesters from Death Sentence. Death Sentence choosing to actually send a couple of harvesters up here, probably just on a straight up auto harvest, trying to go for that additional economy. And Dirty Dutch is actually moving out with mass harvesters. Look at all those harvesters, just insane. Likely from some destroyed reactors, or rather extractors. And we're going to be seeing, it looks like Death Sentence could be potentially losing a full harvester there to some gunwalkers, or rather shardwalkers. And that's not going to be good at all. That's quite a bit of cash that's going to be going down the drain for Death Sentence. But going to be keeping it out of the hands of Dirty Dutch. That's not going to be terrible. But spamming out rocket squads when he knows that there are these buzzers as well as the shardwalkers here on the field. I don't know about the decision there, but choosing to go into Juggernaut production, and these are the first Juggernauts that we're actually seeing out on the field at this point. But the Firehawks once again coming in, going to be able to come in and do some serious bombing. It looks like he was maybe trying to get a little bit greedy, trying to get some shots on those stacked up harvesters, but not actually managing to kill off that refinery either. On the right-hand side, we are going to be seeing Dirty Dutch trying to do some harassment onto Death Sentence expansion here, trying desperately to keep the harvesters from actually doing their jobs. And we are going to be seeing Death Sentence pulling that Harvester back. He does have double Sonic Emitter drops here. Don't know that he necessarily needs both, but the Juggernaut's going to be joining the battle here as well. That's going to be enough to hold off Dirty Dutch from pushing into this force here. But Dirty Dutch actually moving in with the Gunwalkers, or rather the Shardwalkers at this point, and it looks like he could potentially be getting some nice shots on this infantry. But getting all stacked up like that, that's not going to be good against those Juggernauts. Unfortunately, one Juggernaut out of position, going to be taking some serious damage. We do have Firehawks just chilling out down on the bottom of the map. We'll check in on them in just a moment. But another Sonic Emitter going to be taking some shots at these Reaper tripods. Going to be losing another Juggernaut there, and also losing an additional Harvester. That's not good at all. Death Sentence definitely not doing a nice job of defending against this force, and still not moving out with those Firehawks, likely just trying to deal with this force in his base, rallying more of these rocket troops up to join the battle here. And Dirty Dutch calling in the repair drone is going to be able to keep his forces on the front lines, and definitely needed those repairs, as that Reaper tripod looks like it is nearly ready to go down. Calling in the buzzer support power once again to kill off those rocket squads. He's going to be able to do that quite readily. And we do have a couple of assimilators out here for Dirty Dutch, likely to grab back those tripod husks. But ooh, once again, Death Sentence choosing to fall back there with his Firehawks prior to when he really needed to. And actually, Dirty Dutch is going to use the opportunity of using these assimilators and putting them to good use. Going to be repairing that extractor back up at full health. And we did see, it looks like a Mammoth tank going down here from Death Sentence, and Dirty Dutch just still continuing to get repairs here. So Dirty Dutch, he does have a force here to attack Death Sentence, but I don't think he's got enough to crack the defenses of Death Sentence at this point. And likewise, Death Sentence does not have a standing ground army to really put the pressure on Dirty Dutch. He's been doing a great job of harassing with these Firehawks all game, but I don't know that it's going to be enough. And actually, it looks like Death Sentence is choosing to move in with the Firehawks, choosing to bomb the Shardwalkers here. Interesting move, and actually managing to get those bombs off just before the Shardwalkers got their shields back. So going to be dropping both of them into a very low health stage. And Dirty Dutch is going to be moving in with these Harvesters. 3 Harvesters going to be joining the force here. And actually, Dirty Dutch phasing those Harvesters. Brilliant move here. Going to be able to keep these Harvesters on the front line, mine that out. And there's just no answer here from Death Sentence. And Death Sentence is going to be moving in once again with the Firehawks, choosing to use them as an offensive unit against, or rather defensive unit against these forces that are pushing by Dirty Dutch. And Death Sentence actually just a lone Juggernaut on the field, going to be trying to contend with these Reaper tripods. And I think he's going to be losing yet another Juggernaut. The repair drone's being called in once again by Dirty Dutch, but not before he loses an additional Reaper tripod there, and that's not going to be good at all. In the south, we do have a couple of Mechapedes out from Dirty Dutch, going to be harassing this expansion out of Death Sentence. And now Dirty Dutch is looking to be in a terrific position here, and I don't know that Death Sentence has got the forces that he needs in order to put the serious pressure on to Dirty Dutch at this point. Doing a fantastic job with these Firehawks of just absolutely owning everything that comes at his doorstep here, but it's just not enough. He needs a ground army, and he needs it fast, and he needs to be able to shut down these forces. We do see the Mechapedes are managing to sneak into the back of the base here, going to be able to destroy an upgraded power plant, and not actually dropping Death Sentence into low power, but going to be able to kill off that airfield. So now if these Firehawks do fire on anything, they are going to be poised to take some serious damage. Dropping some bombs, but not actually managing to destroy these Mechapedes. They do take out a couple of segments, but I don't know that that was necessarily worth dropping the bombs. Perhaps just trying to force Dirty Dutch to actually return to his base to get some repairs. And we do have more Leeching Harvesters coming out from Dirty Dutch, going to be looking to get some more of that precious green Tiberium. And it looks like Death Sentence has the only remaining Tiberium on the map, as we do actually see Dirty Dutch long distance harvesting this bottom right hand corner. I mean, considering that he started in the top of the map, this is about as far as you could possibly go to grab some Tiberium, and he's going to get away with a full load there. Could potentially be getting cut off by this force of Death Sentence, and actually Death Sentence managing to grab a Reaper tripod of his own here, and now has a standing ground army to potentially put some pressure on the base of Dirty Dutch. And Death Sentence once again moving out with these Firehawks, going to be looking to do some additional harassment here, and we'll have to see what he chooses to go for. Down in the south, we are going to be seeing these forces just contending with some additional Leeching Harvesters. And let's take a look. We do have the Firehawks coming in here, going to be destroying that Warp Chasm, completely taking that out, but the Eradicator Hexapod is already out on the field. Does have that triple upgrade from the Shock Troopers, and we are seeing Disintegrator production coming out from Dirty Dutch at this point. likely to contend with the infantry as well as the Reaper tripod and Juggernaut combination here that we have coming out from Death Sentence. And we have an interesting placement of that stasis chamber, going to be completely locking down both of those Juggernauts and going to be giving this Hexapod an opportunity to do some damage. But oh, Dirty Dutch didn't realize that there was a Grenadier squad here out on the field for Death Sentence, and Death Sentence getting a nice EMP off with that Grenadier. Going to be able to lock that down long enough for Death Sentence to get an EMP with that tripod. But ooh, the Eradicator Hexapod becoming un-EMP'd there for just long enough to be able to get a final shot off on that Reaper tripod. Is going to be killing that off, but it looks like Dirty Dutch is going to be losing this Eradicator Hexapod. The Firehawks coming in once again, actually ranking up from destroying an Eradicator Hexapod. So we've seen Firehawk v Hexapod, Firehawk v Tripod, Firehawk v Shardwalkers. It has been Firehawk v all in this game, and we're going to be seeing the disintegrators out of Dirty Dutch just absolutely moving forward, looking to mow down everything he possibly can. But Death Sentence, realizing that he has no way of saving this Juggernaut, going to be cleaning up that additional Juggernaut husk and getting a nice shot off there, getting some decent kills on those stacked up disintegrators. But we'll have to see what the response out of Death Sentence is going to be. Dropping down that barracks, likely just going to be pumping out some rifleman squads. That would honestly be the best choice against those disintegrators. There's really no more cost-effective counter to those forces, at least not something that you can produce quickly. And we do see that Dirty Dutch is just continuing to lose harvester after harvester to that long-distance harvesting. And let's see where those Firehawks went. I know they're out on the field somewhere. No, it looks like actually they are returning from a bombing run. So it looks like Dirty Dutch, he does still have his drone platform. It looks like it was rebuilt again. And Death Sentence just doing so much damage with those Firehawks. And the inability of any Scrin faction to laser fence their buildings is just crippling against Firehawks, because they can just come in, bomb, and fly away, and they usually manage to get away without taking too many losses, provided that you know what you're doing. And Death Sentence is showing that he definitely knows what he is doing. And now that we see that Dirty Dutch has completely lost all of those disintegrators, actually managing to lose an assimilator there, likely just trying to move out to grab a Juggernaut or some Reaper tripod that's fallen, but unfortunately not going to be able to do so. And now we have a decent-sized ground army out of Death Sentence, could potentially be putting some pressure on this base of Dirty Dutch, as there's just simply no answer. And we have the Firehawks once again returning from another attack run, and the drone ship is packed up and on the move, and it looks like he's going to be trying to come down here for a final stand. We do have two Reaper tripods out on the field, and it looks like it's just going to be straight-up Shardwalker production out from Dirty Dutch, and not a terrible decision at this point in the game, as those Shardwalkers are pretty inexpensive and they do quite a bit of damage. But we are just seeing a single Rifleman Squad scout out from Death Sentence, just trying to get an idea as to what is going on in the base of his opponent. And we do have an engineer here likely to capture this Juggernaut husk back, but it doesn't appear as though Death Sentence is aware of that. He is going to go ahead and do that now, and that's exactly what you need to do. Just stay focused, get those husks back whenever you can. $500 for a very expensive unit. That's definitely going to be a good way to do things. And we are going to be seeing the forces of Death Sentence putting the pressure on the final remaining base of Dirty Dutch, but Dirty Dutch not willing to give up just yet, and is going to be continuing to do some serious damage to this force. But Death Sentence is doing a great job of baiting this force in, and is going to be taking out some of these forces without actually sacrificing too many of his units, using those APCs to drop down mines, and is going to be able to clean up the majority of these gunwalkers, or rather Shardwalkers, as support. And now it's just infantry versus a couple of Shardwalkers and some tripods, and once again Dirty Dutch is going to have to move in for the crush move, and that's exactly what he's going to be doing here, and he'll likely be able to crush that infantry without any problem whatsoever. Just a lone Juggernaut putting some pressure on this expansion. And we do have the Firehawks coming in once again, just trying to find that angle of engagement. We have a couple of Pitbulls, actually a huge number of Pitbulls going to be joining the battle, and we have Dirty Dutch losing his final production structure, and that is likely going to be it. Dirty Dutch does still have his drone platform, so he could perhaps start spamming out some infantry, but with a huge number of Pitbulls out on the field and a Juggernaut knocking on his front doorstep, he's in a terrible position here to defend. And phasing those Shardwalkers, it will keep them alive, but unfortunately will not allow them to defend against this force here. And if Dirty Dutch loses too many more harvesters, he's not going to be able to continue to fund any additional reinforcements. And Dirty Dutch, he does drop a portal down here, but no production coming out just yet. Power is down for Dirty Dutch as well, and he's going to have to produce power plants at this point. and likely just saying his GG's. Death Sentence looking really good. We do have an assimilator out on the field, not quite sure what that is for. Perhaps just trying to get ready to grab back these husks when they do eventually go down. Actually likely to go grab that husk down in the south. And we do have the Firehawks coming in once again, and it's going to be 12 bombs coming off from those Firehawks, and that's going to be it. Dirty Dutch likely going to be throwing in the tower here, losing his final production structure, his drone ship, for the 5th time, I believe, in this game. And that's likely going to be it. I mean, Dirty Dutch, he's still sticking out in this game. I don't know why, and no, he is going to throw in the towel. Dirty Dutch has been defeated. Death Sentence taking a fantastic win here in this slugfest game. And let's take a quick look at the resources tab. We won't waste too much time, but as we can see, Dirty Dutch had a pretty significant advantage early on in the game, up to about the 6-minute mark, and that Death Sentence managed to really snipe down the economy, likely from sniping down the drone ship at that point, and managed to just skyrocket ahead in terms of economy. But Dirty Dutch, I mean, despite being down in terms of his economy and his expansion timing, he was able to keep that up and running, but Death Sentence just came through in the end through attrition. And actually, if you take a look at the resources tab, I mean, Dirty Dutch was doing a much better job of completely gathering all of the resources available on the map. As we saw, he was long distance harvesting all over the place, but the sheer cost effectiveness of those Firehawks when they're in the hands of a worthy player, they can just be so devastating, especially to a scrim player. And Death Sentence just showed us exactly how to do that in this game. Going out to that 30-minute mark, quite a long game, but a very good game indeed. Death Sentence, man, it was just unbelievable watching the Firehawks. Firehawks v Tripod, then we saw Firehawks versus the Shardwalkers at his main base, using them as defense, and then going in for the kill shot on that Eradicator Hexapod. Just brilliant work out of Death Sentence. I mean, that's not typically what you'd be looking to use Firehawks for, but he showed us that you can use it all the same. But at any rate, great game out of Dirty Dutch. He was just sticking it to Death Sentence in every possible way, managing to fight back in that game despite being down so early on and by so much. And he just showed his sheer prowess early on, and unfortunately was not able to make that work in the end. But great game to both of these players. Certainly nice to be back casting, and I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all next time.